broadcast section, please use the microphone provided. Rob.
Ange, afternoon. It's been a tricky run in terms of the injuries that have piled up for your team, results-wise as well. Just wonder what you've learnt about the character and the mentality of your group over the last few weeks, and also maybe the ability too of guys like Gio Lo Celso, who had been a periphery figure for quite a long time.
Yeah, look, it's fair to say, not by design, but you kind of test all these things through tough periods, and we've certainly been through one, and still in many respects going through it now. But I've been really pleased with the players' application, commitment to sort of what we're trying to do, and like I said, guys have got an opportunity to, which maybe they wouldn't have got otherwise, and performance level in the last 4 games has been pretty good. Probably Wolves aside in terms of the kind of football we want to play. Obviously the results haven't, so it's still an area we need to kind of improve. But like I said, with everything we've gone through, we've certainly, like you said, you discover things, and from my perspective, the main thing is that I've been pleased with, like I said, the application and the determination for the players to kind of keep going.
Cristian Romero comes back tomorrow from suspension. How much do you feel you've missed him? And have you had to have a chat about just the need maybe to try and curb the odd rush of blood that he gets?
Firstly, yeah, great to have him back because, I mean, he's the only, bizarrely, he's the only recognised centre-back we have fit at the moment because obviously Mickey van der Veen and Eric Dyer and Ashley Phillips, all first team are all sort of out. So just to have him as a sort of recognised centre-back back in the team is good, but he's also a fantastic player. He's a leader in the group. Obviously, when we lost Maddison and him after the Chelsea game, a lot of that sort of fell on Sonny's shoulders. So from a leadership perspective, good to get him back. And no, look, I haven't had to have a sort of a word to him about it. He's, it's part of who he is as a player. He brings a physicality to it. He knows when he oversteps the mark that we all, not apart from him, the whole group pays a price, and it's up to him to sort of maintain the discipline that I know he can show. But more importantly, like I said, he's such a really strong presence on the field and during the week. So really happy to have him back.
James Maddison was speaking in an interview that came out yesterday, and he described his injury as a slow burner. Is January, do you think, a realistic target still, or might it be longer?
Yeah, I'm not sure about James's medical qualifications and whether we should go with his diagnosis on these kind of things. So I'll leave it to the medical team. As far as I know, it's going along okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
You mentioned there about Dyer sort of being out. Could you just give a team news update? So obviously Christian's available. Nothing from the other night in terms of anyone disrupting this preparation, and from the guys out, Pape's back training probably tomorrow, maybe a bit too soon for him, but Sunday I'm pretty sure he'll be available. Richie got 5 minutes the other day, and he's still fairly short in his physical, where he is physically, but in terms of the injury, he felt pretty good. So again, he's available. All the rest, don't expect to see back for a while, I'd say. Including Eric, even?
At this stage, because he hasn't trained for over a week now, and they're sort of still working on the issue. So I assume, even when he does come back, he'll need a bit of time to get back up to speed.
What is his...
it's a groin issue.
It's a groin. I just want to talk about the kind of fringe players, in inverted commas, who've come in and stepped up. How gratifying is to see that? Because often at Spurs the last few years, that hasn't quite happened.
Well, it's been important because, like I said, out of necessity, they've got an opportunity, and sometimes in that kind of scenario, you're very reliant on their ability to kind of come in and, not sort of disrupt the flow of what we're trying to do too much. But I was, as much as by necessity, I was always heartened by the fact that training every day, guys like Gio and Brian Gill and even someone like Ben Davis, who hasn't had a lot of game time, they've been training well. Emerson has been training well. We obviously asking them to do a little bit of a different role, which is another challenge. But again, I come back to their application, their determination to sort of just try and play our football has been a key to that. And as I keep saying, look, Wolves aside, I think our level of performance has been pretty good considering what we've had to go through so far.
Does it show as well how important it is to keep those people engaged, even if they're not getting the minutes they want?
Yeah, well, look, I've always been that way. You know, if you come and watch our training session, there's no one who's standing on the sideline. Everyone is involved. You know, we gear our training sessions around the numbers we have. We don't sort of focus on one group over another, and it's for that reason. You know, I think it's important that whether you're a player or a staff member, you need to feel like you're valued, you're part of something, and sometimes the guys who aren't sort of playing or haven't had an opportunity to play, their only chance to show what they can do is at training. So we've got to give them that platform, and I think that's helped us through this period.
Ian.
Hi, Ange. Hope you're well.
Thanks,
Richarlison coming back 4 weeks ago, he had his surgery, and as you say, he got 5 minutes or so at Man City, available for West Ham. Does that show how determined he is, and how maybe he's got over his problems from earlier in the season, that he wants to be back playing in your team straight away?
Yeah, look, I think Richie. To be fair to him, he was struggling with it from the start of the season. But from our point of view and the medical team's point of view, it was one that we thought we could sort of persist with, till we got a good chance to sort of get some work on it. But it kind of, by the end of it, he was really struggling even at training. So, even though it wasn't great timing for us, because it came at a time when we lost a lot of other players, we just felt, we needed to that he needed intervention from a medical perspective, and he's worked hard with the medical team, the sports science staff, to be available. And talking to him and watching him, he feels a lot better in terms of that aspect of it. But like I said, he's missed a fair bit of training in that 3-4 weeks, so we just got to do some work with him over the next couple of weeks to get him back up to speed, because again, we've got a fair few games, and we've been a little bit limited with how we can change things up during a game in the front third. So having him available, either to start or to come onto a game is going to be invaluable.
Won a lot of plaudits for the way you played at Manchester City on Sunday. West Ham are a very...
After the game.
Yeah, after the game.
Yeah.
And before.
Yeah.
West Ham, very different animal to City. They're a team that decides to come onto them and hit them on the counter. Is that more dangerous in a way for your side and your philosophy?
No, I think it's equally. I mean, I just think with all these challenges, there's the biggest sort of obstacle is, ourselves, in terms of we need to hit certain levels, irrespective of what the opposition may bring to it, because the kind of game style we have, we're very reliant on how, we roll out the kind of football we want to play, because it's not so much about, stopping an opposition, it's whether we can impose ourselves on oppositions, and all of them have got threats, both with and without the ball, that we've got to be wary of. So the challenge is the same. The challenge is about us, making sure that we hit the levels we need to then be able to play the game we want to. So it's a Premier League. Every game, you see it at the moment. There aren't many that, are kind of easy games for any team. Home or away, they're all pretty tight. And I've got no doubt tomorrow night will be a real good challenge for us.
And you pretty much played, by the odd week or so, once a week. How are you looking forward to, how much do you enjoy the relentlessness of December, where there's 10 games for you, and you're probably pretty much never going to see your family, and it's going to be all football?
I don't know about not seeing my family. I'm not sure what your family life's like, mate. I like seeing mine. Having said that, they're off to Australia for some warmer weather on the weekend. That aside, look, I think for us, having the game a week, I know people have said is kind of, in some ways been an advantage. I understand that, but I've also felt it's been a little bit of a disadvantage, because we've had a lot of players, particularly at the start of the year, who hadn't had a lot of football that we all of a sudden had to throw in. Whereas if we'd had midweek games, even in Europe, you're forced to kind of give guys opportunities. So, the flip side of that is we're still very thin on numbers. So, the 3 games this week will test us. But like I said, getting Romero back, having Richie available, hopefully Pape Sarr on the weekend, that gives us some more numbers, and at least the guys who haven't had a lot of football recently, or at the beginning of the year, like Benny and Emerson and Gio, Brian Gill, are now up to speed. Even Brennan Johnson, he's getting a clean run of games. So looking forward to it. I mean, it's 2 big games for us, particularly at home, and particularly after the results we've had recently, that we need to perform at a good level to get the results we need.
And just going back to discipline briefly, Destiny Doggy, I think it's on 4 yellow cards now. Obviously, Cristian, if he gets another straight red, it would be 4-match ban for him. You mentioned there about the effect that has on the group as well, more than the thing. Is that something that you have to police in that regard, make them aware of how it affects the rest of the group, or do the players kind of naturally do that?
It's a combination of both. I mean, look, it's, you know, some of it, you know, they're defenders, they're in that position, and sometimes, you know, I think Destiny's been unlucky a couple of times, but, you know, at the same time, you need that part of your game to be there as a defender, particularly in the Premier League. You know, you're facing some really, you know, some of the best strikers in the world and attacking players, and, you know, part of their, you know, what they bring to the game is the physicality. I mean, Destiny's, particularly for a fullback, he's so quick, but he's so powerful, and we don't want to take that away from him. But there is like I said, there is a broader consequence for those kind of things. And, you know, when you talk about discipline, it's not just about not getting yellow or red cards. It's just discipline in approach in terms of, you know, the way we're playing, the way you kind of behave on a football field. All those kind of things make a difference. So, you know, again, it's not something, you know, I said a couple of weeks ago, I think it's been an area that we need to improve, but I'm not just talking about yellow and red cards. Discipline is also, there's been times this year, particularly in the last couple of home games, where we've started really well and we've lost our way because we've just got, you know, a little bit ahead of ourselves in not just, like I said, the yellow red cards, but even in terms of the way we're playing our football.
Hi, Ange. Just with Romero, how's he been this last month? Obviously not playing, but training. Has he been sort of the person you want in training to prepare the team as best as possible?
Yeah, look, his training's been good. He's been frustrated because, you know, particularly, I guess, yeah, not just the fact that he's missed out, but he's understood the situation we've been in. You know, it's not like he was the only one missing. You know, all of a sudden, post the Chelsea game, there was, you know, we lost Mickey, we lost Destiny, we lost, you know, pretty much our whole back four, and then we lost Maddison, and so that he knows that, you know, how important he is. So I think he was frustrated. I mean, he had the international week, which is probably good for him because he got a couple of games in there and he got away from here. But he's been ready to go the last sort of week. He's trained really well, and I know he's happy, and I know the rest of the group's happy to have him back in.
And obviously a pleasing result at the weekend in terms of coming back, Man City, but still 4 without a win. You're a manager that's used to winning. How much is that sort of eating at you, or are you sort of battling that by thinking about the bigger picture?
No, look, you treat it the same way. It's like I say, I don't like losing. It doesn't sit well with me. I like winning. But, you know, for me, like I said, last week was not about just sort of getting a result there. It's the manner in which you do it, because just a result by any means, you know, I've been in that position before. It doesn't fulfil you any more than sort of, you know, losing a game of football. You know that it's not going to last. So for me, that's been more important. And whilst, yes, it has been three losses and, you know, the draw last week, I still think our performances, as I keep saying, are the most important thing that kind of sustains you through that period where you're going, all right, not happy we're not winning, but at least I'm seeing the team sort of still performing and trying to play the football. And you've got to take it in context that, you know, like I said, we're going through a rough trot in terms of playing personnel.